Okay, I got to get on the horn here. I'm not bragging, but to talk to the New York Times about this whole Reince Priebus thing and then a lot of other stuff, but I want to hear what David has to say, and I want to just ask him briefly his perspective on what's currently happening, because he's a smart guy and I respect his view. But all of us should be asking this question that I'm about to ask him. But first off, I want to crystallize something here that's the most important thing I probably said today, and that's this. Infowars doesn't need acceptance by the mainstream media or by Donald Trump or by the Republican Party or Democratic Party. They're all about how you seek acceptance, how you do what they say, how you go along with them, and then you end up having success. That's called a tyranny. That's called a cult. And Joy Vilas, wearing that beautiful dress that said, "Make America Great Again," whether you love Trump or hate him, was an act of resistance against Hollywood and the music industry that is totally centralized and completely cultic and bullying. And the fact that she looks so classically feminine is something they've banned. They don't like that either. So it's a serious act of rebellion in such a controlled society, as George Orwell said, in a world of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. So when I make the point that we are the new counterculture, as Paul Watson's been making, we've known this for a while, but it's completely evident. And so when we sit here and we criticize stuff going on in the Trump administration, it's not so we're involved and we're in the middle of it. It's so we save the country and watch Trump's back and expose what's happening and document what the globalists are doing. And the New York and D.C. and that whole establishment, L.A. establishment, needs to know we already have bigger audiences than you. We are the future. We are America. And we don't say that in some contest with you. We say that so you know. And so your audience knows, and so your final minions know that haven't fully woken up that we've already beaten you. You understand that? We've already beaten you. Now, how far this war goes on, I don't know. I've been on here 20-plus years. I never said we've beaten you. I said we were way behind before. But we had the culture of liberty. We could defeat you. People stood up and spoke out. We did. And all over the world, everything you're doing is in retreat right now. And people are now studying how systems work, and there's going to be no going back. There'll still be corruption. There'll still be problems. But you don't have the high hand anymore. You don't have the initiative. You don't have the strength. You don't have the will. The tide has turned and reversed against you in a seismic mega shift, or the fourth turning that David talks about so much. And so our listeners need to know that. That's why they're calling us all KKK and trying to bully us, because they're so scared that the slaves mentally that they control of every color, of every race, of every region are going to break out of this. If you're a global corporate government robbing everybody that's tax exempt above the law, how do you dominate? Classic divide and conquer. Look at how the British controlled countries. And we're just going to laugh at them and move forward with an open culture of freedom. And where men are men and women are women. And if you want to be a tranny, that's your business. You're not going to teach our kids that. We're going to live our lives and teach our kids like we want. Get out of our lives, cult. All of this globalism is just a destabilizing cult. Everything they do is meant to turn us into gibbering idiots. So I want to say it, and it's important. I don't want Hollywood. I don't want D.C. I don't want to be around all the weird peacocks that are the New World Order. I want freedom and human destiny, and we are coming out of Babylon. We are coming out of the New World Order. We don't want the mega churches. We don't want to look like we're the establishment. We don't want to impress our stupid neighbors. We want to love them and free them. So that's what I'm getting at. I'm not like Reince Priebus and all the rest of those people that are a bunch of bootlickers, let's say butt lickers of the establishment. We're not in your paradigm. You understand? We're here to overthrow your paradigm. And you know that, don't you? But I want the audience to know that. People like this idiot, John Oliver, laughing at Infowars. They mean to make you feel bad if you believe some of these same things, out of context lies, laughing with a laugh track and an audience being told when to laugh. They're doing all of this to, again, make you feel isolated, make you feel alone. Just like they're trying to make the president feel isolated and alone. It's the same psychology of cowards. What they don't know is we know we're right. We know we're on the right side of history, and we don't care if you say we're alone. We're not alone, and we know we are actually the majority now, and that's why the system's panicking, and we're coming together worldwide to get involved in our governments, to take our systems back, and to promote prosperity, and to not have wars if somebody doesn't start it, and to be good people again. Evil's had its run, but the pendulum has started to swing back. And I want to challenge everybody to break your conditioning, because I keep talking to folks that are the minority of listeners that think this is all a game or a joke. This isn't a game or a joke. And here's my final point, and I'm handing the baton to Dave because I got to go. He can answer my question after I'm gone about if he agrees with me. But do you understand that they know what they're doing? They attack whatever's the strongest point to ridicule it and say it's discredited and say it can't win, because they want to do a mind trick to make you abandon what is the most successful, what is the most truthful, what is the most virile, what is the most powerful. And that's why thousands of articles a week, dozens of national TV shows, hundreds of others lie about Infowars, about our crew, about myself, about others, the attacks, all the dirt they try to dig up, all their lies, all the stuff you couldn't believe out of James Bond movies, folks, that I've been through. And I'm not crying I asked for this. But believe me, someday the story will be told. The bigger the attacks get, the more it verifies everything I know. They're doing that because if people adopt Infowars, which is just pure Americana, honest information, it's over. So they spend all their time laughing and ridiculing, even though it's overthrown them, and even though it's overthrowing more of their systems. They are in full panic because Infowars is promoting the exact same thing as Stephen Bannon and Trump. It's the return of Americana. It ain't perfect, but it's the real deal. It's pro-human. It's not this seedy, wicked, selfish thing of making you poor to control you. And it scares them to death. So understand, people think I'm being hurt when I'm attacked everywhere. They're only elevating us to because they already know we're so huge, to try to make us the archetype that they can then put a straw man on and defeat to scare everyone else from adopting what they know is the real, genuine article. But they're so delusional in their narcissism, they don't understand that people see through them and now understand it is the genuine article, and it's actually blown up in their face. And I can't believe they're doubling down again and supercharging Infowars with daily attacks, because if we thought 85 million was big for the election, we could be at 100 million a week within a year. History's happening. These people are jokes. And I want to salute you all and thank you for your prayers and support. Now more than ever, we stand with you. Please stand with us, because this is spiritual. And it's also economic. A war's happening. It's here, and you are the front lines. David Knight.
Alexander, as you're talking about this, the attacks on Infowars, attacks on you, of course, we see this relentless attack at Saturday Night Live. I want to talk about that in a moment, but let me go back and look at somebody who has been on both sides. Jim Webb was in the Reagan administration. He was Assistant Secretary of the Navy, or Secretary of the Navy. I forget his exact title, but then he got elected as a Democrat senator. He ran as a Democrat for president in the last election. This is what he has to say. He said, D.C. insiders are trying to personally discredit the Trump administration. Now, I talked earlier today about the latest person in the crosshairs, Mike Flynn. But, of course, they've been after Bannon for a couple of weeks. They've come after now Stephen Miller. They're going after Mike Flynn. All the people who are core in terms of agents of change are being attacked relentlessly by the press. And one of the tools that they use, of course, is ridicule, because that's Saul Alinsky's tactic. You know, his rules for radicals, one of the key one of those is ridicule. But let's look at what Jim Webb has to say. He said, well, you know, there's a campaign going on the Hill, in the media, in academia, to personally discredit not only Donald Trump, but the people who are around him. Notice that they're not coming after Reince Priebus. The mainstream media is pretty much leaving him alone. He's a serious guy, they say. You know, he's a real person. He's the guy that needs to keep all the rest of these people in line, because the other people that they don't like, especially look at what they did with Bannon, and they've attacked him in multiple ways because he has a strategic vision. As Alex pointed out, he understands, and he's been attacked recently now for his understanding of the Fourth Turning, a history book and a documentary that he did about it a few years ago. He is a strategic thinker. He understands that we are at a strategic turning point in our history, and that's what that book points out. A couple of historians pointed out they went back 500 years in English and American history, showing a repeating pattern. He understands we're at a major turning point, and we have to make sure this turns the right way. Stay with us. We'll tell you what that's about when we come right back.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to Infowars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. Infowars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You gonna sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you gonna be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action.